Blacks in technology.
Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Blacks in Technology Big Tech Talk podcast. This is episode number 111. This is the first episode of the new year. So happy New Year's to everybody. I hope everyone had a great holiday. Like I said, this is the first podcast of the new year, and I'm really excited about our guest tonight. But before we get into that, Blacks in Technology, this is a podcast show where we talk to black men and women who are engineers, innovators, educators, inventors, change makers, and entrepreneurs doing amazing things in the world of technology. This podcast is where they will share their stories, their experiences, their ideas, their knowledge and perspective on tech with the BIT community. I'm Greg Greenlee. I'm the founder of Blacks in Technology. If this is your first time checking out the podcast, you can check us out at www.blacksintechnology.net. We are also all over the Twitters. We're at Black in Technology. That's BLKINTECHNOLOGY. We're also on Facebook, facebook.com/Blacks in Technology. We're on LinkedIn. We have a LinkedIn group under Blacks in Technology. We're also on Instagram under Blacks in Technology. And if you are listening in, if you're on Twitter, that is, if you have questions for our guests, tweet them to us using the hashtag BitTechTalk, BITTECHTALK. Blacks in Technology is a tech-focused community and media organization. We're focused on increasing the number of black men and women to tech through increased visibility and participation. We always focus on forming new partnerships and opportunities to assist our members with their continued professional growth and development. So if you want to partner with us, if you have some resources that you think would be beneficial to our membership, to our community, send us an email to contact us at blacksintechnology.net. I'm going to save some big announcements for a little while longer. We've got some pretty amazing things to announce that's coming up soon. And I'm just going to hold on to that until the time gets closer, and then we'll make those announcements. But we are on Slack. We have over 1,500 members on Slack now. If you want to join our large community on Slack, go to blacksintechnology.net. There is a link at the bottom of the page for Slack. It's a invite only, as you all know if you used Slack before. So just click on the link. It'll be an invite form. Fill out the form, and you automatically get your invite. All right. So today we have a very first podcast of 2018. We have a good show lined up. We have DeShuna Spencer. She's the founder and CEO of kweli-tv. That's a video streaming network that curates undiscovered and award-winning indie films, documentaries, web series, and children's programming of the global black community. I'm really excited to have her on the show tonight. I heard about her about this kweli-tv, and actually I want to say that I heard about this some years ago in the Bit forums, and then I kind of didn't hear anything, and then all of a sudden I heard some amazing things about it, and I wanted to get her on the show to talk about kweli-tv. So DeShuna, I want to say welcome to the show, and thanks for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited.
So are we. I really appreciate it. So we're going to jump right into Q&A. I want you to tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, a little bit about your background, education, things like that.
Sure. So I am originally from Memphis, Tennessee. I live in the D.C. area right now. My background's in journalism. I went to Jackson State University, and I studied communications and journalism. My initial dream was to be a journalist. So, growing up in Memphis, I was an avid reader. I used to love watching 60 Minutes in 2020 before going to school in the morning. Before going to church on Sundays, I used to like to watch Meet the Press, which most 10-year-olds don't really watch that, but I enjoyed it, and that was kind of what I thought I would do, either be a novelist or a journalist. But as you know, with technology and how things happen, at 10, I could never imagine that I would start like a streaming service. So I went to college in Jackson State in Jackson, Mississippi. My initial idea was to start an online magazine, which I eventually did. I started a magazine called Empower Magazine back in 2009, a long time ago. Time goes by really quickly. And it was a really great platform. We talked about social justice issues affecting Black people. And we had like this award ceremony where we talk about, really honor people who were doing really great work in the community, mostly in the D.C. area. But then, years later, I started to pivot and started Kweli. So, yeah, my background's in media and communications.
Very, very interesting. I mean, it's an interesting time right now for journalists, especially with, the current political climate, and it seems like the free press is being attacked. You hear the term fake news being thrown around quite a bit. And I don't want this to get too political or anything like that, but what's your thoughts on this kind of attack on the press?
It's actually quite scary. I have a lot of friends who are still in the space, in the media space. Of course, when they're going out getting the stories, they have to fill in that, that space of like, okay, I have to do my story. But when they're amongst each other, it's very disheartening. There are certain people who are not trusting the media because of what a certain president is saying, and it makes their job a lot harder. It's just hard being a journalist now. There was a study that came out maybe about 4 years ago saying that a journalist is like the job. More people losing jobs in journalism than any other career, because first of all, it's beyond the fake news. The whole media industry is just collapsing. Whether it's because people are losing their jobs. So for instance, a lot of media companies are downsizing. A lot of media companies aren't making the money that they were making a long time ago because of technology, and they're trying to figure out how to get with it. And now they have this administration, and now it's making it worse because now they're trying to figure out, okay, how in the world can we how can we tell stories without us being called fake news? And it's very challenging. I don't really have the answer except for just to be authentic and for them to continue to tell a story. So you see major media organizations, despite what the administration is saying, they're still saying, okay, we're going to tell the truth. You may see CNN like, this is an apple, this is a banana. You can call it banana, you can call it a pineapple, but still, everyone's trying to fight this ideology of fake news. And it's kind of world that we live in. And I think that as people who do communications, anyone who's out talking and using technology as a means to tell a story, we just have to be authentic, and we can't be bullied and to not tell the story. I mean, that's what I believe.
Yeah, and ironically, technology is, you would think that, in almost every other aspect of everyday life, for instance, technology makes things easier for us. But in the world of journalism, it's kind of ironic that technology has kind of been this kind of culprit, right, as far as the amount of disinformation that's able to be kind of dissipated throughout, and where it should be helping, right, where technology should be helping in this instance, it's actually hurting, because now there's so much disinformation out there that you don't know what is what. You don't know what the truth is, and even when you start to dig even further, I mean, there's just a ton of stuff that comes up that, it's hard to verify what's real and what's not real.
Yeah, that's the part that's really challenging. That's the reason why I did pivot. My dream was to be this, journalist and tell the truth and tell these really, important stories. But now, anybody with that can get a $10, blog, pay for a $10 WordPress site can put something up and call that news. Like, no, that's not news. Just because you have something to say doesn't mean that it's real or it's relevant. And that's really annoying to me. Like, everyone thinks that they're, Lester Holt. Like, no, you're not. You are not Anderson Cooper. You are. So that's a huge challenge. I think it's great that more people have a voice. I think that the beauty of technology is that there's such a low it's low point of entry right now, where anyone with the will and the mind and people who actually have a really great story to tell could put themselves out there, but it's also opened the doors to so many other people who put out really bad things. The beauty of technology, though, even despite everything with media, is that it's bringing out the truth. Growing up, I grew up in the 90s. It wasn't like people were having these comment sections on blogs. It was you really didn't see the trueness of what people thought. So there was this false hope that maybe we have a cleanest president, maybe racism is over. Lo and behold, we see the 2000s and maybe racism isn't over. Okay, canceled. And so I think that the beauty of technology, which is very sad, is that we see the true nature of a lot of people. I think it allows, especially for, we're talking about blacks in tech, it allows for people of color to be woke, quote unquote, to see the realities of the things in America that we thought, were quote unquote getting better with time. It's not getting better, it's getting worse. And technology is exposing it. And so I think that's the beauty of technology. It definitely saddens me when I read articles. We were in TechCrunch this week, and if you read the article, if you read the comments on Twitter and on Facebook, 98% of them were negative, saying about racist Netflix, where we're very, very negative racist things about what we were building from white people. And that's just a part of the game. But my husband's like, don't read the comments. No, I want to know what I'm up against. We need to know. Like we need to know what's going on in technology. Folks are back in the early 2000s, they have their fake names 276 John, but no, it's like John Williams, with their real face. They're not hiding anymore, and we need to know what's going on. If technology is showing it to us, then so be it. It doesn't make it great, but at least we're able to know what we're up against as a community.
Right, I agree. It's kind of taking a little bit of the bad with the good, so to speak.
Yeah.
And let's get into kweli-tv. What I like about it is it kind of aligns with the mission of Blacks in Technology, which is to increase our visibility, right, and put forth more positive images and control our own narrative, right. I always say if you don't control your own narrative, then you leave it up to someone else to do it, and they're not necessarily going to do it in your favor. So I'm really, I really think it's a great service. So tell our audience a little bit about what is kweli-tv.
Right. So we're, like you said, we're a streaming service similar to Netflix, but we focus on the African diaspora. So we have independent films, documentaries, web shows, children's programming for North America, Europe, Latin America, the Caribbean, Africa. The common theme is that all the characters are of African descent, or at least the main character is of African descent. So kweli means truth, and so in Swahili, so our whole mission is to create content that's a true reflection of the Black experience. Not to say that there won't be everything is peaches and cream and rosy and everything's positive. I mean, there are real subjects in our community, but everything doesn't have to be a slapstick comedy. Everything doesn't have to be a gangster movie, right? We want to show the diversity and the beauty of our culture, and we're doing that with kweli. We're showing parts of the world that you would never see on other networks, right? If you want to watch, okay, what's it like to live in Cameroon? What's it like to be Afro-Brazilian? What's it like to be Black in Venezuela? We're everywhere. Black people are everywhere, and we have content that represents so many different parts of the world. We have content from Portugal to Germany to Paris to everywhere, right? And so for me, I think as African Americans, I feel like we've been sort of shortchanged as a community to know what's happening with our people in other parts of the world, not just here in America. And I feel like it's a really great opportunity for us as a community, that all of us, no matter where we are in the world, to come together. I really see kweli as really being the force that can really bring all of our communities together, no matter where you are in the world. So that's our whole goal. Now, as far as our filmmakers, we definitely support Black filmmakers. About 95% of our filmmakers on the platform are of African descent, and we do have some filmmakers who are not. And it's not to say that Because one of the things people say, well, just because, someone's white, like, yeah, you can be on the platform, but it just can't be monolithic. We just have to make sure that, if we're going to put your film on the platform and you're not a person of African descent, then, we watch it. We watch all of our films, first of all, to make sure it's in keeping with our mission. But we just want to make sure that we're presenting ourselves in a way that's authentic, right? That it's just not cartoonish and it's not one-sided. And I mean, that's the whole mission with kweli-tv.
Excellent. And kind of tell us a little bit about the impotence of the idea. Like, how did this idea form? And, kind of walk us a little bit through that.
Sure. The ideal came from me being frustrated with cable. I was literally like flipping one day through a bunch of cable channels. I was like, oh my God, there's nothing to watch. I don't have cable anymore, but I remember just flipping. Like, why do I have 200 channels and why am I paying arm and a leg for, the few channels that I do watch? And so,
right.
I would love, like, I tried to push shade on other channels, but like watching reruns all the time. I love Martin, right? We all love Martin back in the day, but at some point it's like how many episodes you can start reciting them by heart, right? It came to the point, and so I was tired of watching that, and so I like history too. When I do my pitch competition, I was like, well, I love history, but like if you turn on the History Channel, if it's not like Black History Month, then like there are no shows geared toward Black people at all, right? There's absolutely nothing. I feel like you tell the same stories, Hitler and Bugsy Siegel, and like how many times you gonna tell the same story about the
right.
kid with something a kid, I can't even, Bunny and Clyde, whatever. They tell the same thing, recycle stories over and over again. I'm like, Alcatraz, another angle to Alcatraz. I don't care, right? Who gives a crap? And so my husband and I, we cut cable, and I got Netflix, and well, I mean, there were, definitely some Black content, but it's nowhere near what I was looking for. There are so many great independent films, documentaries, like there are so many like independent Black blogs out there that highlight independent films from film festivals. I'm like, okay, I read about this film. I wonder if it's on Netflix. No, Netflix didn't have it. Okay, where is it? It was nowhere. There was no space to find any films I was looking for that I read about online. And so I was doing some research. I was like, well, if there is no Black streaming service, maybe I should start it. I mean, it was just that crazy. I at the time had my online magazine, and I had like a glorified WordPress site that I hired someone to make it glorified. And I know HTML, so I can do the basics of HTML, but right there, I'm going to start a streaming service. What? But that's kind of how it started from there. Literally just out of frustration, my need to want to see certain films that I couldn't find unless I traveled to a film festival, and I couldn't. So that's basically how it got started, pretty much.
Excellent. That's a excellent history about the idea.
That was like the next day. I like, oh no, it's up. I mean, it was definitely a long journey to get here, but at that time, which was actually 2012, when I initially came with the idea for Kweli, was 2012. I applied for this business plan competition, and I was a finalist for it, and I didn't win. And so there were only 5 companies that won, and since I was one of the 10 finalists, they said that we can like write the judges and ask them, why. So they emailed the judges like, hey, since you are giving us, feedback, like why was I selected? And this is what they said. They weren't sure. That was a great idea, but they weren't sure about the future of streaming, which is crazy, right?
About the future of streaming?
Yeah, but this was in 2012. This is 2018. So 2012, it was just Netflix and Hulu, right?
Right.
No one else was streaming, but I was like, I really had this idea that everyone's going to be streaming everything, and I wanted to get ahead again. I wanted to start this live streaming service, really geared towards documentaries and news, but then I decided to add independent films just to get more people to want to watch the platform.
Right.
And they're like, no, we're not sure about the future. We're not sure if people are really going to be doing that. It's really interesting, but sometimes I think that's what happens a lot of times when you're come up with ideals. You see something before everyone else does, and just like with Blockbuster, right? You're like, oh yeah, Netflix. All right,
Right.
Blockbuster's gone, and Netflix is doing its thing.
Yeah, it's funny. I have a close friend of mine, and she always says, when it comes to, I mean, you might think these people who are, you go in front of, you go to pitch, you might think that they're geniuses or something like that, but they're really not. They just really take chances, and some of them don't know nearly as much as you think that they know. And some of them, they don't have vision, right? And
Right.
just like the person who said that they don't they don't know where. I mean, look at streaming media is now is threatening cable companies, and it's making them change. It's making them change their model around as well. So just goes to show you.
I know, and it's like I could have had such a head start if I would have But it is what it is. Life is all about timing. So I eventually tried again. So after in 2012 that I did not win a competition, I decided to only pay for kweli-tv's domain name for a year. I let it last. In 2013, I was going through a lot of changes at the time. My dad was diagnosed with cancer. My little nephew died. My aunt died. I got sick. I lost my job. I mean, a whole bunch of things happened. In 2014, when the dust started to settle and life wasn't as crazy, I learned about another competition, and I applied to it. The deadline to compete was in 2 days. And I remember going to my husband in his office, and I was like, do you think I should even apply? I get rejected so often. He was like, you never know. And so I was a finalist for that one, too, and I actually won that one in 2014. And that was how it was $20,000, and that's how I was able to build the initial beta for the platform. So the thing is, sometimes you get rejected, but you just kind of have to put yourself out there again. I think that's one of the biggest lessons I've learned about being an entrepreneur. People don't like when I say that rejection is my middle name, but it really is. For every win that I receive, I've gotten like 10 losses, like every single time. I won a pitch competition last year at Harvard. Harvard, it was like the African Business Club's their annual pitch competition at the Harvard Business School. And as I was about to, they were going to announce who won the pitch competition. Literally, I was checking my emails before they called me, like, first place, kweli-tv. I got a rejection email. Literally, right, I was sitting right before they announced my name. That's the reality of being an entrepreneur. I get a rejection email like, sorry, we haven't moved you on to the second round. But then, like, at Harvard Business School, a minute later, and the winner is Kweli. So it's like, that's just part of being a business owner. And you kind of have to get comfortable with rejection. It's just a part of it.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that. I just seen a video with Will Smith, and he was basically saying that very exact thing. Like, you have to be comfortable with failure, because they're teaching moments within that failure as well, and you become more experienced, and you start learning things that that you might not have learned before. So failure. Don't view failure as failure. View it as hey, this is how maybe I shouldn't do this, and I'll try this way the next time. And it just all that does is lead up to that successful moment. So So tell us a little bit about the service itself. Like how does a person become a subscriber? Kind of what the cost is, and things like that.
Sure. To be a subscriber, first there's a 7-day trial. You just put in your credit card information. Some people are like, well, that's not free. It is. You're not being charged until the 7th day, but or the 8th day actually. But so it's $5.99 a month, $49.99 a year. Again, like I said, it's a 7-day trial. So when you go to our website, you can just click whichever one you want to do. It's $21 difference or discount if you do annual versus monthly. And we're on Roku, Apple TV, and Google Play. And we also have Chromecast and AirPlay extension. So if you do have a Chromecast, you can still watch us. And if you have like PlayStation, while we don't have an app on PlayStation, we can't afford it right now. You can at least, we do have directions on our website, and we have workarounds for people who want to watch us that way. But yeah, that's how you can watch us. Like I said, it's a 7-day trial, so you can kind of binge, and hey, stick around if you like us. If you're not, we would love to, keep you, but we understand.
Excellent. So, just to kind of recap about what you just said, you're on most of the major streaming platforms. So you're on like Roku. You're on
Roku, Google, Apple TV, and Google Play. Yeah, excellent. Apple TV, Roku, Google Play. Our goal is to be on the Amazon Fire, probably by March. So we will have that soon too. We have customers asking for that. Now the other platforms, it's going to take a little bit longer. It's interesting whenever I, talk to customers. I mean, I can't really tell them, like for real, like, the difficulties, but this is a tech blog, right? So a tech podcast. So, when people think, well, Netflix is on my pinky toe, how come you guys aren't on my pinky toe? Well, because people want us to be on everything, and I want us to be on everything, but I think people assume like you build one app and then just place it on all these different platforms, and they don't realize that every single platform, it's built differently. There's different types of language that it needs to be built on, and so you have to build an individual app for each individual platform, not even just smart TV. So if someone has a Samsung, if I need to build the Samsung app, then there's a whole different app I need to build for Vizio, or a different app I need to build for LG. They're all different apps. So if someone has like a PlayStation, it's a different app for PlayStation versus Xbox versus Wii. They're all different. It's just insane. So you're spending globs and globs of money. Someone contacted us recently about some Western Digital device. I didn't know Western Digital had a streaming box until this customer asked me about it. So I went online trying to figure out how to, because she was like an older person and she was trying to figure it out. So found a way online for the stream kweli. But things like that, like people have no idea that for a startup company, especially we're a bootstrap startup company, that it's not as easy as it might seem to have all these different apps. Like it's very expensive. So with Netflix, when they're on everything in their grandma, it's because they have the money to pay someone to be on every device that's humanly possible. We're totally not there yet. We're a startup in every sense of the word startup. We just launched out of beta in September. And so, but despite that, I'm so excited that we are on the ones that people are asking for the most, which is Roku, Apple TV. I'm extremely happy about that. So, but as time goes on, we definitely will be adding more apps.
Excellent. Yeah, I mean, people think it's magic, right?
Yeah.
Which what they say about technology and magic, like if the technology is good enough, you won't be able to discern whether or not it's magic or not. But it's not magic, people. Right. It takes resources and time and all that stuff to roll this out to all these different platforms. So let's talk a little bit about the content that's available. Tell us a little bit about how much content is available, and then how does someone get their content featured? Like, is there a screening process? Is there a specific content that you will or won't accept? Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So we have close over 200 titles on the platform currently. We're at about 3 a week right now. Which, people think, well, that's not a lot, but for us, it's a lot enough for us because we handpick everything, and then also our goal is to be Netflix. We have 10,000 titles, and you don't even know what's on there. We want to make it intimate enough where people can find the new content each week, and because, since we do hand select our films, and we do work directly with a lot of filmmakers, we just want to make sure that we're giving the time and the care to each individual filmmaker. We don't want to play favorites, one child over the other. I always tell my filmmakers, we love you all the same. We don't love one filmmaker child over the other. We treat you equally. And so that's exactly what we do. As far as like finding content or having content on the platform, we do seek out films from film festivals, and we also do get submissions. And so for submissions, we watch, the content to see if it's in keeping with our mission. And so we say keeping our mission, that it's authentic, it's not monolithic, and it's not demeaning. Demeaning doesn't mean it's not real. So let's say there's a movie about someone getting shot or someone on the street. Like we have a movie or a film called Jermaine, and it's about a young kid. Well, it's really about his father. So a 36-year-old, he's just recently returned from prison, and his whole goal is to, his wife stayed with him, so he's really trying to get his son on track, who he really hasn't had much of a real relationship with because he was in prison. He's trying to keep his son from making the same mistakes that he's made. Now, that is, for a lot of people, that's a stereotype, right? There's a stereotype that all black men go to prison. No, all black men don't go to prison, but this is a reality for some of us when it comes to their lifestyle, right? But it's not glorifying the prison lifestyle. There's a message in the movie. And so that's what I mean by authentic. It doesn't say that we have to totally shun and shy away from the realities of what's happening in our community, but that's not the main focus. The focus isn't about someone getting out of prison, and, it's really about him being a father, being a husband, and trying to make sure his children don't make the same mistakes that he made, right? So that's a good example of what I mean by authentic. Also, for us, it's really important that the main character is of African descent. If the main character isn't black, it's not going to be on the platform. We see, I would say in mainstream media now, there has been definitely some progress when it comes to mainstream media trying to portray black people. Every network now at least has their I was going to say a word that was not really a great word to say, their key black show that they have that they can say, okay, this is our black show, right? And maybe some networks are doing better than others when it comes to the black shows. But for us, it's not just checking the box and say, oh, yeah, there's our black show, or there's that black person in that show, in that movie, to prove that we're being diverse. No, we're showing that we have great films from black filmmakers that have stories, just like everyone else, just the characters just so happen to be black. And so that is something that's really important to us. So for us, we really try to be socially conscious too, or quote unquote woke. And so a lot of we post on social media, and a lot of our films, some of it we have comedies too, but even then there's always some type of social component to it that I think that's really important, to me at least, where we're just not all celebrity driven and celebrity based and gossipy based. Like for us, it's really about the content. And so we really make sure that when we're watching content that there's some type of message, there's something that people will get out of it. The quality is good. It's not someone shaky iPhone and say, yeah, I made a movie. We get all sorts of things. You'll be surprised.
No people walking in front of the movie screen at the theater.
Exactly, right? Someone's talking,
Right.
You'll be surprised. And I think sometimes people think, oh, it's a black streaming service, so they're going to take my little movie. Like, no, baby girl. It's really interesting. One time I got a submission, it was literally a Master P concert from the 90s. The was square and fuzzy. And it was like a concert. It was somewhere in Mississippi. And, like one of those old camcorders where it had, like, the time stamp at the bottom, like, right-hand corner. Someone submitted that to us. Like, I was like, sorry, sir, we don't accept music. I was really being nice. Sorry, sir, we don't accept music. Well, you started accepting music. Really? You really think I'm going to post your videos from Master P from the 1990s? No shade to brother. I'm not trying to put anybody on blast, but I'm like, come on. So we watch everything, and we want to show people that black people can put out really great content, that it doesn't have to be low budget. It doesn't have to feel low budget. It doesn't have to be, makes no sense and storyline is bad. Like, these are really good films. Whenever I talk to filmmakers, I get so excited. We watch content, like, oh my God, I get so excited. The new films we have on the platform, these are films that people don't even know exist, and we have them because no one else really wants them. And it just makes me feel special. I'm so honored that our filmmakers right now, we're working with over 130 filmmakers across the globe, that they trust us. When I launched my beta, before I launched my beta, I had to convince filmmakers to give me their content before we had anything at all. And 30 filmmakers gave me their content without anything. They just trusted me. And whenever I talk to filmmakers, I'm always pleasantly surprised every single time that they want to work with us because they could choose a lot of different platforms. So I'm just honored and very thankful, that I have this honor to be able to do this and watch content and put it out to the world so everyone else can enjoy it.
And I just kind of want to add on to that. There was a couple of things that you mentioned that really resonated with me because of the Blacks in Technology platform, and kind of along the same lines of what we focus on doing here, which is to provide a platform for Black men and women in tech to be able to tell their stories and provide them with the visibility and highlight the success stories and of the men and women within our community, right? And one of the things that you mentioned was trust, and I think that's a huge thing because when you're doing something for the community like this, like that's one of the things that you want to build up is that trust level, right? And people from within the community, once you establish that trust, it's a great thing because they know that you have their best interests at heart, right? And that you're not going to do something crazy with their content and things like that. They trust you that you're going to represent the community and their work and their material, their content in the best way possible. And I think that's huge. And so, I mean, just like you, I mean, I feel the same way. I feel honored to be able to provide a service, provide a platform for the Black men and women in our community, to be able to feature them. Like it's so crazy that you something like Blacks in Technology, you have like all these other different outlets, tech outlets and tech publications, and it's crazy that they rarely feature Black men and women, and it's just great to be able to have that and to provide that for our community. So definitely what you said resonated with me as well. So let's talk a little bit about I know we were talking about this earlier before we actually started the podcast, around the tech stack, around kind of what you're using to power your platform. So tell us, can you just, you don't have to go super in depth or anything like that. Just kind of give us an overview of kind of what your tech stack is looking like, kind of what you're running on, and tell us, about any challenges, any hurdles that you faced.
Lots of challenges, lots of hurdles. So when we were in beta, we were using Python in beta, and then we were post-beta, we were trying to get a beta. So, side note, I've probably worked with like 10 developers since 2015, when we were trying to launch beta until launching out of beta. And I've had 4 CTOs in the past 2 years. I know it sounds absolutely crazy. I'm not crazy, I promise. It's not me. But it's just the challenge of starting a streaming service. It's not a typical app, right? Whenever I go to people, oh, yeah, you want to build an app, and we talk about video involved, we talk about, payment system and things behind the walls and trying to get things to play and not buffering and, things like that. It became very challenging for quite a few developers where I had some ghost on me, literally. 2 developers literally go. The first developer I ended up letting go because we had launched other beta. We launched our beta last September, but we launched beta August 2015, and the developer who initially built the beta moved to Colorado. I tried to, he never finished it. Our beta was basically about 90% done, and I just made a decision to just let it just let it be. Like, it could play videos, it could take money, right? I mean, it did the basics, exactly what it needed to do, and it was a beta, and it really gave us an opportunity. This is a tech podcast, so everyone's listening, they know what a beta is. But for our viewers, they had no idea what beta meant. It was really a great opportunity for me to educate people about this is what a beta does. And so you click here, click there, and let us know what you. And customers in the good old days of 2015, in the fall, they would email us and say, "Hey, I clicked this and it did that. We can't wait for it to see more." I couldn't either, right? And so we had this new developer, and unfortunately, one day they wanted to make some updates to the site, and he forgot to back up our platform.
Oh, boy.
And so I get a text message at 2 a.m. and he was saying, "Hey, we're trying to make some changes to the platform, but the site crashed. But we backed it, but we took it back to the previous version, so everything's back up." I was like, "Okay, but you did back it up right before you did the changes, right?" He was like, "No." I was like, "Oh my God." So then I went to DigitalOcean to see when last time the site was backed up. It had been 2 weeks. And so we lost 200 paid subscribers and 2,000 registered users just like that. Because we use a third-party payment system, we still use Braintree to this day, even though we're using a third-party company. We still use Braintree for our transactions, because Lord knows we are not, people are like, "Is this thing worth?" Like, no, we're not managing transactions at all. Like, literally, you type in your information, but it's a facade, right? As you know, because you're in tech. And so I was able to at least extract those I was able to go to Braintree and pinpoint when the last update was on DigitalOcean to when the site crashed, and I had to go to click on each individual account, copy and paste their email, send it out. I was up all night long. I started, it was 2 a.m. when he emailed me, when he texted me 2 a.m. I jumped out of bed, went directly, first of all, I haven't slept since 2014, just to keep it real, but I was up like literally all night, and by maybe 9 a.m. I was able to get the last person and send them an email. And some people were upset, like, "You crashed, well, can I really trust you? I have to resubscribe again." But the 2,000 registered users were just gone. And so we decided to part ways. But I had such a trial and error just trying to get us out of beta. And so last year, what ended up happening after we had another developer ghost, like we were about 80% done, and I never heard from him again. Like, how you hear the stories like the husband goes out and get milk and then he never comes back home. That's what this brother did. We were like about to lunch in 2 weeks, and he was like, "Yeah, let's meet up, let's talk about them." Okay, I never heard from him ever. I thought something happened to him. I literally thought like he was harmed or something. No, he's living his life. He just didn't bother to tell me. So I don't have another developer. This person went really, really well, and they were on the team for about a year. But again, we just couldn't get a beta, and so we decided to part ways back in July of last year. And I decided to go with a third-party company, and within 6 weeks we went out of beta with this third party. But myself and I had 3 interns help me, and we literally moved everything over from our beta to this new platform, everything manually. It was probably most stressful things I've ever had to do, because I moved things over manually already. But every time I got a new developer, and they want to do things differently, so they have to start from scratch over and over again. It was so frustrating. But this last time I knew, like, we're gonna, this is the platform, and I'm happy I decided to go to third party, because we would not have been able to get what we got. So I don't really know the stats, like they manage everything, they built it all, so it's one less thing I have to worry about. It's not the ideal situation. I think that as we grow, I would love to have everything like in-house, but it's just very challenging when there isn't a lot of information out there on how to build a streaming service. There's a lot of open source code out there where if you want to figure something out, you can just find it online and copy and paste it and change the code to fit whatever you're working on, right. or change it. It's like when it comes to streaming, there really isn't a lot of go-to places. So it was really all trial and error, and a lot of developers, I'm upset with especially one developer that really goes to me, like, it really, like, pissed me off to the point, like, oh my gosh, I was a little bit crazy, like, my dad, you should go to this, like, place and find. I mean, my dad, like, you know what, Dad, maybe I should, like, no, I'm not gonna be crazy because I know cursing him out and it'd be nasty. So, because he messing with money, right? We had a lunch day. We told people we're gonna launch August 2000, launch other beta August 2016. We had this day already planned out. People were emailing us excited about it, and this dude ghosted. I mean, like, really? I know I'm supposed to not be angry anymore. I'm not. I promise. But it's just like, just tell me you don't want to do it. Like, it's like you're in high school, right? And a guy doesn't want to date anymore. Just say you want to break on me. Don't ignore me when you see me walking in the hall. You like go in the room and hide. You know what I'm saying? Like, you want to be me, just tell me. Just so high. Like, we're not kids. This is life. This is real life. This isn't high school. I can give you your high school football jacket back. It's not that big of a deal. So it was all trial and error, lots and lots of error. So right now it's not ideal. So people are listening who want to know what we use. Sorry, there's not much I can tell you, but when we're trying to launch out of beta, we're using our own stuff. We were using Django, Python, with AWS, and with CloudFront to avoid buffering and stuff like that. So that was in Braintree. Braintree was for the commerce side, which we still use, and then we were using for email verifications was I can't even think of the service now, but that's kind of what we were using when we were trying to do it in-house. Now it's not in-house anymore.
Gotcha. And this is just one of those things that as an entrepreneur, right? People. It's funny that the perception of entrepreneurs is that they come out with a product and like now they're they're making tons of money or something like that, and that's kind of what But people don't. I'm glad that you gave that explanation because people need to understand the struggles of becoming an entrepreneur and something that you're tackling, which is a streaming service. I mean, that's a very difficult thing to tackle. I mean, you have these streaming services, but they're huge now, and like you said, they don't open source everything. Now I know that Netflix they do open source some tooling, but they don't give you the secret sauce on how they're doing everything, right? They give you bits and pieces of open source tools that they might use to like monitor their infrastructure or how they do how they route different services to different servers. I know at where I work at, we use I think it came out of Netflix is Eureka, and I can't think of the name of the other, but it's Eureka Zool. It's basically a tool that allows you to be able to route services and things like that. I mean, in Netflix they have those type of things out there as open source, but the secret sauce that they that brings everything together, the glue and everything like that, I'm pretty sure they keep that under wraps. So yeah, it's definitely understandable.
I mean, I can learn everything. Like literally, I remember when we were trying to launch the band and work with the developers about, trying to build it, and things like I didn't know AWS existed until I went like a WordPress placement online magazine. And I go from learning different languages, like Ruby on Rails and things I didn't even know existed, and just trying to figure out, okay, what type of language do I want, and working developers who are arguing whether, we should use, MongoDB, and people fighting over it. I'm like, oh my God, don't just and then give me documentation, we should use, this versus. So it was a really interesting, it's a really interesting time trying to figure all this stuff out. Literally, it was a real big learning curve for me.
I mean, and that's something too that I mean you just touched on that's really informational is that as an entrepreneur, and you know, especially if you don't have a co-founder or other people, I mean, you wear a lot of different hats. So people who are thinking about being an entrepreneur out there, just be prepared to it's not just the business hat, right? It's not just the marketing hat. It's, you know, you might have to dive into the tech side of it. You might have to, and not to say that you're going to have to be an expert, but you're going to have to, you know, have a basic understanding of what the tech does in order to make the right decisions for your specific service or product. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. So last, but you know, before we get out of here, you know, tell us a little bit about, you know, kind of what's next for you. What's next for kweli-tv?
Sure. So for us, one of the things we're looking to do is have events. So we're going to be doing some pop-ups later this year, live streaming. It's going to be live streamed in different cities so people can watch a movie. And we're doing this because we want to create more of a community atmosphere for our followers as well as our subscribers. And so we'll be like a film screening, like in a major city, and then hopefully having a filmmaker there in person to talk about it, and then also streaming it live on our platform. So we're going to be creating these pop-ups in different cities. We really want to, like I said, create more of a community around Black film. So it's one of the things we're really excited about. And we're hopefully going to be doing news on the platform too. So we've had a lot of people saying, hey, you know, we want to talk about issues important us. We don't want to wait for CNN or MSNBC to tell what's happening within our community. So we're going to be doing more news content. When people do ask for original programming, it's something that we definitely think about, but it's not something we're going to be doing like right away, unless it's news. Mainly because it's just, first of all, really expensive to do, number one. And number two, you don't want to make sure that once we have the funds to do it, it's that it's done well. I think sometimes people think as long as it's original, that means you have something original on the platform, and it may not be that great. But we want to make sure it's good. And then, too, there's so many great films out here already that people don't know about. If we start having an original program, it really takes away the money, takes money away from the filmmakers that we're trying to reach out to who are doing great work. And everyone's focusing on creating original programming while forgetting that there are so many great films out there. So this year is really about focusing our audience, you know, making sure our audience falls in love with us and really listening to them and what they think they want to see more of the platform. That's really our goal for 2018. A lot of times when you have a startup company, you know, people think, what's your growth strategy? What are you looking to do to grow? Focus on the customer. We're a bootstrap company, and so a lot of times when we haven't really raised like a round of funding or anything like that. And so for us, it's really important that we stay true to ourselves. The whole rat race of the raising money is something that I think about all the time. Like, you know, how much I really want to raise. I go back and forth with that a lot because once you get to their round of raising money, you're on this fast track where you're building something without actually making it a company. You know, you're building to sell, you're building to give people their money back versus building something that can be, I don't know, that's just my little issue. So I go back and forth with a lot of stuff like that, but for me it's really about the customer. I want to really get to know customers more. We're going to be doing a lot more. They're going to see me more. We have our Meet the Filmmaker series where I interview people Facebook Live from our platform. Our pop-ups, I'm going to be going to there, meeting people in different cities so I get to know the customers and really just trying to get to know them more. And hopefully, you know, those customers would tell their friends and family members, and then we'll grow organically from there.
Gotcha. And that's totally understandable. I mean, it could be a tough compromise once you start taking money, right? Like, and just like you said, you kind of don't want to be beholden to the people that you take money from and end up, you know, getting away from the roots of why you got into this and why you're doing this, right? Because then you're kind of working, you know, the good people. I guess the the people that provide the money, the good companies out there would allow you to be kind of true or stay true to what you're doing. But there are companies out there that, as soon as they put in some money, now you kind of got to play by their rules. And next thing you know, hey, we want kweli-tv to pivot to this or to do this or to do that so we can start making our money back.
Like, oh, no, we're not doing stage plays, right? no shade to stage plays. It's just not something we want to do. So. Right.
So that's totally understandable. And how can people, if they want to get in contact with you, if you want to find out more about kweli-tv, kind of give us your social media contacts and that type of thing.
Sure. So our website is www.kweli.tv. That's our website. Social media is all kweli-tv. So whether you're on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, it's kweli-tv. That's how you find us on social media. If you want to shoot us an email, you can email us at hello@kweli.tv.
Excellent. And I do want to say this is a call to action to people who are listening in. Subscribe to kweli-tv. I signed up already. If you can't afford $6 a month, then there might be something else going on. But it's $5.99 a month for programming around the African diaspora. If people are serious about spending money within the community and doing this to kind of to help out kweli-tv, she's doing an amazing thing with the visibility and providing this platform that allows indie film producers and things like that to have a platform to showcase their talent and their content. So head on over there to kweli.tv. Spend your $6 a month, and let's help her out. I definitely want to thank you, DeShuna, for taking time out to join us on this podcast, and want to wish you the best of luck in the future.
Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot. And that wraps it up for this episode of the Blacks in Technology Bit Tech Talk podcast. Definitely want to thank our guest, DeShuna Spencer, for joining us tonight. And that's it for this episode. Tune in and check out the website, and you'll see what we have coming up next for our next episode. Thanks a lot. And like I always say, tech yourself before you wreck yourself. Take care.
Blacks in Technology.
Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology.